What would win in a fight, a gorilla or a grizzly bear?
I think a gorilla.
How did you get involved with OTF? Tell us more about that.
Well, I met Lil Durk probably around 2016 when I was at the Source. Yeah, I met him. He it was still like early stages of his career. I was looking for talent to interview, and I was very in on this Chicago. I think Chief Keef. Yeah, I didn't interview Chief Keef yet, but something made me think of Dirk. And I reached out to him and his team, and they were all in. So we did some photos and talked about his style, and I just stayed in touch with his manager. From there, because whenever they would come to New York, they would hit me for some interviews and stuff, and we could just stay connected like that. And the recent album release dinner I did over a year ago for OTF for the latest project that they dropped. I produced the dinner to celebrate just OTF and the music entirely, and it was a great turnout.
Tell us how you got connected with ASAP.
ASAP, I think I was doing some content for the Source. I went to like a private album listening with them, and we did an interview, some content. But yeah, that's pretty much about with that. It was very brief. I've seen Rocky around a lot at the different events and stuff. He's a very cool person.
Tell us about your relationship with Gumbo. Shouts out to Gumbo. Yeah.
Yeah, Gumbo was through MCMPR. Goes back to my mentors, her clients. So I helped, help amplify their reach and press and media overall. But I was really on the PR side of things with them. So just promoting their campaigns, their activations, their launches, their dinners, their sponsorships with art talent and stuff like that.
You have a cool, unique sense of fashion. What inspires that?
I am just really big on individuality and being weird. I prefer to dress weird than to be normal. I don't really know where that. I just think I've always embraced being different. I think normal has always been too boring for me. So, and I just love fashion and creativity. I'm not a person that looks for labels and stuff like that. Like, I'm really big on just unique pieces. I like my clothes to be like artwork, if that makes sense.
How do you express yourself?
I express myself through my work. I've gotten, more into communication as I've gotten older, but my work has always been, the way I express myself. I feel like my work has a unique spin to it. Like, it's by House of Creators, especially the fashion content.
What inspires you?
What inspires me is, I guess, self-expression and just, the history of hip hop culture, hip hop lifestyle. That really inspired me. On the music side of things, my dad music taste really inspired me. I wouldn't be working in the music industry if it wasn't for my father with all the music he has exposed me to over time. So yeah, just a love for art, creativity, and just lifestyle. Like, I love the lifestyle that I live. So I know, I stay busy to maintain this lifestyle. This lifestyle is expensive. This lifestyle I live is very expensive. So yeah, every day I wake up, I'm blessed. I live in a nice apartment. I worked very hard to get to this stage in my life. So it's just my environment is always a reminder. My childhood, wasn't it wasn't a fortunate situation, but it was full of love. So just I know I know what I came from. So that's my biggest inspo, and to see where I am today, that's what fuels everything that I got going on.
What do you have to say about starting your own company versus working for someone else?
I mean, starting your own company takes a lot of discipline and a lot of endurance. I'm sure the corporate world is, not much different working for somebody's major company. I'm sure it's a lot of pressure and whatnot. Sure, it's not much. I'm sure it's not that much. I mean, it's a far more responsibility that comes into running your own company. But You know,
Yeah.
I have my friends that work corporate too, and I know, their situation is stressful as well, you know? Yeah, it's definitely a different type of stress because you don't have a guaranteed money coming in. You
Yeah.
have to your clients for that. And um, it's like my day, my first of the month for me is a new start every single month. Every 30 days I have to figure out how I'm going to make some money. Versus having a corporate job, you're going to get paid every 2 weeks. Yeah, and you're given deliverables. You're being told what you have to accomplish. You have to report to these people. When you run your own business, you report to nobody. You have to create the ideas. You have to create the concepts that is going to be able that you're going to have to be able to monetize. So you got to create business ideas to pitch and sell to people to get paid. You can have long-term clients where you get in a long-term contract with them, or every 30 days, the top of each month, you got to get some new clients. It's never the same thing, but it's like, honestly, it's extremely stressful when you don't know where your money is coming from.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just like, I think I'm the type of person that's built for that, because I might lose my mind if I wake up every day and being told what to do. I'm just a high functioning that it's like I need to be challenged in order to feel, or I might be numb if I'm in a more simple routine. And there you go.
What would win in a fight, a gorilla or a grizzly bear?
I think a gorilla.
Gorilla? Why so?
Well, gorilla, I feel like has more access to their legs and can climb trees and stuff, a little more quicker and durable. And I feel like they can do more lifting and body slamming if they wanted to tackle or pin somebody down. But I feel like a bear, really has to rely on his claws and his mouth.
That's true.
I feel like the gorilla has more. I can't even think of the term, but the fact that a gorilla can utilize his legs and hands and climb, pick up.
Mobility.
Yes, more mobility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You experience any mental illness, and what do you have to say about that?
Mental illness. I think probably the most I've experienced was perfectionism, and perfectionism is not. It's just being perfect is unrealistic. It's not real. Like I've gotten over that. I'm past that phase in my life, and I'm thankful to be past that phase in my life, because chasing perfection will drive you insane.
What is your perspective on / experience with drugs?
I mean, that's something you see a lot in the music industry, as if it's, it's very common in the music industry. But my perspective on it, I'm all for like shrooms and 420 friendly vibes. I'm more so like like the natural stuff. All the other chemicals can be too much, but I just think people should you can't tell people what to do or how to live their life. I just pray people take care of themselves, and really, what more can I say? Drugs can be very detrimental, or they can enhance your creativity depending on the type of drug. I know, shrooms are shrooms, and cannabis can actually be positive if used correctly and with discipline. But those things can also too take away from someone's productiveness. But it just depends on your perception, your mind state, and where you at, and and just having self-discipline.
What are some companies or people that have influenced you a lot?
Companies, LVMH. I like the multinational corporation aspect of it, which is the umbrella that owns Mercedes, Burberry, Louis Vuitton, Moet. It's the multinational corporation, the umbrella of things. Goals for me, I'm going to become a very big umbrella for many artists and brands. But yeah, and people that I'm inspired by my grandfather. I am inspired by my mother. I'm inspired by my mentors, and I'm inspired by all these new new generation, new kids who are really taking advantage of monetizing from the internet. Very inspired. So I'm inspired by the new generation. And I'm inspired by my elders too. Find a lot of inspiration in many different areas and spaces. You know, it's we are all very relatable, us as humans, and it's easy to be inspired. You know.
Where do you want to be in 5 years, career-wise?
Yeah, 5 years, the multinational corporation, where I will be in 5 years or less.
What made you want to start your own companies?
It's not. It wasn't really something. It was just I was already doing. It wasn't really something I planned out or was interested in. Yeah, I just was already doing it. So just my love for art and creativity. You know, everything falls in place. Everything fell into place effortlessly.
What are your 5 favorite albums of all time?
That I don't have. I don't really have a favorite. I barely have a favorite music artist. Prince is just Prince because Prince is one of one. But let's see if we can come with my top 5 favorite songs right now. Probably "You're the Moon" by Playboi Carti. "Ride" by Future, Metro Boomin. I like "Finesse" by Bossman, D-Lo featuring Glorilla. I like "One of One" by Gunna. And let's say a 5th one might be "Rain" by Scott Water. I would say top 5 I'm listening to right now in the gym.
What is it like being an entrepreneur?
Being an entrepreneur is it's a freedom. It's a freedom in intense responsibility. That's the way I can describe it.
How do you balance fulfilling your vision with delivering what an audience wants?
I have played a role in creating new things in which I would expose people into something new that they didn't know they wanted, if that makes sense. No one was interviewing rappers on their style before me. Not from my era. You know, I don't know what went on in the early 2000s or whatever, but one thing I have seen is a lot of content pieces on rapper styles, and I know I definitely was one of the first doing that in the music industry, in hip hop culture with Style Sector that I produced at The Source and then I brought to Hot 97. But I got some new things coming that's even more fresh than that. So stay tuned, I would say.
What are your goals in life and in your career?
Yeah, my goal in life is to live a soft life built on creativity and to be funded by creativity forever. That's my career goals, my life goals, live a soft life with an abundance of wealth, period.
What is the meaning of life to you?
The meaning of life to me is to live life to the fullest. Life is short, and to make an effort every day to choose happiness and do what makes you happy. That's what I feel the purpose of life is. And to be of service of people.
Is there anything or anyone you want to shout out or add?
I want to shout out everyone that's ever believed in me and all those that are continuously supporting me. And, my family for being the biggest support system and molding me and creating, helping create, who I've become.
What is your message to the youth?
My message to the youth is I would definitely suggest to get to know yourself on the deepest level possible before it's too late. And I would say it's never too late, but the longer you wait to trying to understand yourself, the more work you're going to have to do, because eventually things that you dismiss and ignore is going to come back. And I hope that makes sense. But one thing I can say about my career is, I did a lot of self-analysis in my late 20s, and I'm starting to meet younger people who have started self-analysis in their early 20s. And I think it actually makes you more productive. You analyze yourself early because you can get over, whatever obstacles that you've been avoiding mentally. You can get over that and you can be in your most productive state, more younger. I think a lot of people wait. They feel like seriousness, especially emotional seriousness, is for the older age. And it's like, I feel like highly functioning, productive people, experience that in a very young age, and then that's what makes them highly productive. Yes, emotional intelligence.
Yeah,
Emotional
it's very
intelligence at a young age, like that should be taught first because you can be financially stable, you can have a booming business and not be happy. And I can say I have been there before where I've lived a great life and I can reflect on moments where I was so blessed, but I was not happy. It was no need for me to not have been happy, honestly, because the things I stressed about were very much irrelevant. I can only imagine who I would be right now if I dealt with the emotional things I dealt with in my late 20s, if I dealt with in my early 20s. Because now I am 30. So, yeah, and two, it's a great point to you can actually look back and reflect. Now at this age, I know a lot. I feel like 20s is like you're experiencing things and you're learning as you go. I feel like at this stage where I'm at, it's like I know a lot where I can avoid, issues and I don't have to try it out.
That's a wrap. This has been Nosebag Media with. This,
Yes, bro. I'm sorry. My apologies.
you good. You good. I appreciate your time. It was a good conversation. Got anything else to add or?
I think it's good, and I really appreciate you recognizing, what I've been doing. It's a big, massive internet with a lot of creative people. It's wonderful to be recognized amongst the millions.
And I appreciate you for taking the time too, for sure.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right, take care.